When it comes to mid-size luxury SUVs, Mercedes-Benz practically invented the segment with the introduction of the ML-class SUV all the way back in 1996. Now, the M-class name was eventually renamed to the GLE class when the company tried to simplify their lineup and confuse the heck out of a lot of Mercedes-Benz enthusiasts. And back in 2020, we saw an all-new version of the GLE, now in its second generation. Now, because it's been a few years since Mercedes gave this model some updates, this week, as you can see, we are testing out the fully revised 2024 model. This right here is kind of the sweet spot in the GLE family, a 2024 GLE 450 powered by a turbo electrified inline-6 under the hood and getting new styling front and rear, some new tech features, and the introduction of a plug-in hybrid model, which I'm hoping to test later this year. So this week, as you can see, we're gonna live with this GLE 450. At the end of this video, we're gonna find out, has Mercedes made enough changes to their bread and butter mid-size luxury SUV to keep this model competitive? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the subtle exterior styling changes, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering the 450. Like so many other Mercedes models, the company offers a plethora of different engine choices. This right here, like I said earlier, is most likely going to be the sweet spot for many buyers. Now, underneath the hood of the 450, you're gonna find the company's tried and true turbocharged inline-6 with their EQ Boost 48-volt mild hybrid system. Now, this engine was first introduced in the GLE back in 2019, and for 2024, Mercedes-Benz has given this car a little bit of a power upgrade. So now it makes 375 horsepower. That's up from 362 in the 2023 model, and the same 369 pound-feet of torque. Now, this turbo inline-6 has direct injection, and it's also augmented by a 48-volt mild hybrid system. That's what EQ Boost stands for. The mild hybrid system on its own, they call it an integrated starter generator, adds about 20 horsepower and 148 pound-feet of torque on its own. You can't technically combine the two outputs. It essentially removes the alternator and the starter of this vehicle, and it's a mild hybrid. Now, in terms of the transmission, it's a 9-speed automatic transmission built by Mercedes. All GLEs come standard with 4Matic all-wheel drive. Even the base 350, which has a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. And fuel economy for this model is 19 in the city, 26 on the highway. That's on premium gas. It has a 22.5-gallon gas tank. Mercedes-Benz says you should get to 60 in around 5.3 seconds. We'll test it out using our equipment and see what we can get in the real world. It has a top speed of 130 miles an hour, and this vehicle will tow a maximum of 7,700 pounds. As it sits, it weighs in at just over 5,000 pounds. Keep in mind, if you guys want more power, the 450e has more power. The 580 has a V8 twin turbo with more power, and then of course there's the AMG 53, which has this motor with more power, and the 63, which is the most powerful GLE you can buy. And if you want to watch a review on that vehicle, click the link in the description, because I already had a chance to review the refreshed 63S. But let's go ahead and close up the hood. First of all, you notice there's carbon fiber underneath here, which is kind of, showcasing how Mercedes tends to over-engineer things. The hood is really hot, but let's go ahead and close that hood. It's really hot out here and bright and sunny, but you can see my tester is painted in this nice shade of twilight blue metallic. It kind of has some like grayish blue accents in the actual paint color. Typically this color is like an extra $600, but on the 450 it's actually a free color. They also offer some Designo style colors for an extra like $1,800, but this color I think is a pretty good combination. You can see the headlights, all GLEs come standard with the company's full multi-beam LED headlights with LED daytime running lights and turn signals. You can see you have this new 4-point LED daytime running light, which is a new addition for 2024. And then my tester has the AMG line exterior package for $3,600. You can see it includes a different grille insert, the large Mercedes logo. My tester also has the driver assistance upgrade package. So we have the radar sensor in the emblem. You have a camera at the front. You have the Mercedes logo here, and down here it kind of shows it twice. And then you can see there are these little stars in the actual grille inserts. You have a more aggressive front bumper and front lip with some functional and non-functional vents. My tester also has the AMG night package for like an extra $500 that blacks out some of the chrome accents, although it doesn't black out the chrome in the actual grille. But overall, it's a pretty subtle change compared to the pre-refresh model. You can see the hood has these nice little creases in it to kind of showcase the muscular design of this vehicle. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the updated styling. You can see moving around the side of the vehicle, the GLE is a mid-size SUV that is kind of like the E-Class of SUVs. That's where GLE, the name, comes from. and 194 inches long. This is about 8 inches shorter than something like the GLS. It's a nice mid-size SUV. Its wheelbase is long at 117.9 inches long. That's going to give you, again, the availability of a third row and one of the biggest leg rooms that you're going to find in the second row in the segment. You can see my tester has the 20-inch wheels that's included with the AMG line package with the black night package. You can see it's a 20-inch double 5-spoke wheel wrapped in a 275/50 R20 tire. It's a very thick sidewall, which is great for the ride quality. The AMG line also includes upgraded brakes with twin piston calipers, which are vented. Of course, my tester also has the Airmatic air suspension for an additional $2,000, where you can raise and lower the vehicle up by up to 1.2 inches, I believe. Which will again give you better ground clearance or lower the vehicle when you guys have it in its sportier setting. Now you can see with the AMG line package, it includes these black painted side mirrors. These are power folding with integrated turn signals. My tester also has the running boards, which are illuminated. Those are going to get in the way if you're off-roading, but they're going to help you with getting in and out of the vehicle. My tester also has the optional pano roof for $1,000 and the nicely integrated roof rails if you want to put something on the roof. I also like how the side trim here is blacked out. That's included with the night package. And then moving around to the rear of the vehicle, you can see pretty subtle styling changes. If you squint and look closely, you're going to notice the new taillights, which have a slightly updated design, full LED taillights. You can see the badging back here is surprisingly not blacked out with the night package. You have the AMG line styling for the rear diffuser. You can see there's an integrated exhaust system. My tester also has the tow package for an extra $700. That's going to, again, increase the towing capacity to 7,700 pounds. I also like the nice rear bumper protector there, which is chrome finished. It's metal. It looks really expensive. And then opening up the cargo area, my tester, as you can see, actually has the optional third row for $2,000. This is the first time I'm seeing a third row in the GLE class. It's a small third row for children, but you can see with the third row up, the cargo space here is pretty small. They don't have an actual number for this when the third row is up, but I'd say it's probably around 10 to 12 cubic feet. It's a tiny cargo area. You can see there is a nice little storage compartment here where you can actually fit the cargo cover, which I actually took out and left in my garage prior to shooting this video. If you want, you can fold down this seat, which is, as you can see, a manual folding rear seat, but once you do that, and you can only fold this down if you have that second row seat slid forward a little bit. It's actually power folding and power reclining. This expands the cargo to around 33.4 cubic feet, so just under 34 cubic feet. Fold down the second row, and Mercedes-Benz says you'll get just under 75 cubic feet of space, which is pretty competitive with the segment. Something like the BMW X5 is going to offer similar amounts of space. From back here, you can actually electrically fold the second row seats, and you can also lower the rear air suspension. There's no third row air vents back here, but there are USB ports, which I'll show you later on. But overall, the cargo area is pretty class competitive. Just know when you have the third row, it's going to significantly eat into your cargo space. So exterior-wise, the 2024 GLE got some pretty subtle changes, and those subtle changes are also included when you guys take a look at the interior of the revised 2024 model. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see all GLEs pretty much are going to come standard with this current Mercedes-Benz fob. It has the usual buttons. It has push-button start and intelligent access key. You have your lock, unlock, power liftgate, and then panic function. I believe if you have access to the Mercedes Me app, you should be able to also remotely access this vehicle through your smartphone. Now, unlike some other newer electric Mercedes models, which have the pop-out door handles like the S-Class or the EQE, this has a traditional door handle. If you touch that door handle there, you can see the doors will lock. The mirrors will also fold in and has the little honk to confirm that you've locked the vehicle. Mercedes, however, does not offer an auto walk-away lock or unlock function. That's something that BMW offers, but not Mercedes. Touch the back of the door handle, you can see that opens up the door for you. Now, my tester is a pretty nice color combination with the twilight blue. It has the macchiato and black two-tone full leather interior. This is an upgraded leather interior with the MB Tech stitching. It also has the natural grain walnut wood, which looks fantastic. The seats themselves, they're heated, ventilated, and massaging. That's included with the Pinnacle trim. If you guys don't go for the upgraded leather, you'll have the MB Techs without the stitching that you'll find on the door panel and on the dash. These seats, they adjust from the controls here on the driver's door. And you can see here, you have 3-person memory. The seats adjust in like 20 different ways. You have metal accents here for the window controls, for the door handles, as you can see. Beautiful leather stitching on the door panels with leather stitching over here where your elbows would rest. And then down here, you can see it's a hard touch plastic, which As you guys know, this is the middle SUV. You have a so it's not going to have all the fanciest materials. Nice storage over here. You have power liftgate controls, and then these seats, they look fantastic. They're comfortable and supportive. The heated and cool function works well, and the massage function also works really well. Basically, the newest thing you're going to notice is that steering wheel. This has the newer Mercedes-Benz steering wheel with the 3-spoke design. This is directly lifted off of the S-Class. If you guys go for an AMG line interior package, you'll get a flat bottom wheel, which looks like the steering wheel from a lot of AMG Mercedes models. But let me go ahead and hop inside. You can see it has a nice, easy, high step-in height. The running boards are really not needed because of the air suspension, so I probably would skip that option. If I get in and shut the door, you can hear the door has a solid sounding thunk. My tester also for $500 has the optional soft close feature. So all you have to do is click the door and it'll automatically close for you. So that's, again, a nice feature to have. Starting the vehicle up, the start-stop button is down here. It gets blocked by the steering wheel, so you kind of have to look for it if you're not used to where Mercedes puts it. But as you can see, the vehicle fires right up with kind of like that hybrid starter sound, because there's no actual starter or alternator. It just kind of whirs to life. And then you're greeted with the two 12.3-inch displays, which Mercedes introduced this first years ago. I've seen some of my viewers actually tell me this looks like a Kia, and Kia is technically who copied Mercedes, same thing with Hyundai. But you can see here, it almost looks like one giant piece of glass where it's two actual screens. This has their newer version of MBUX. So now we have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It was a wired connection before, and it also didn't take up the entire screen. So this looks a lot better. You can see there's some beautiful MB Tech stitching on the dash, beautiful natural grain walnut wood, which looks phenomenal with the two-tone look. You can see you have heated and ventilated seats. You can also control the passenger side from here by touching that button. You can move the seat forward and back. You can set the memory. You can turn on the heated and cooled function. Window controls, they feel really high quality and tactile. They're one touch for all four. Power folding mirrors, like I said. And then my tester also has the 13-speaker 590-watt Burmester sound system, standard on the Pinnacle trim, along with the heads-up display. The sound system sounds incredible. If you guys are an audiophile, you're going to want to tick the option for that, obviously, to go for that. You can see beautiful leather stitching on the lower portion here, which is great. And then the dash vents, you can see here, also got a slight trim update. They're now trimmed in metal. Previously, you could only get this on the Maybach version of the GLE. Now, of course, they're including it as standard on even this lower grade version. Now you can see here, it's a touchscreen. You can also use the little touchpad here or the touchpad here, or you can also use the voice commands. It's really quick and snappy. It looks really great. Going back to the Mercedes-Benz system here, you can see it has embedded factory GPS with augmented reality. My tester also has the built-in dash camera function where you can connect an actual storage for a micro SD card for something like that. It'll actually record from the built-in dash cam. That's a great feature to have, especially if you guys don't want to have to deal with an aftermarket system. The GPS function works fine. It looks good. It also has augmented reality in the actual GPS, which is nice. You can see there's the CarPlay function. And if you want to go to features like the interior ambient lighting or the massaging seats, you go there to comfort. I really particularly love the activating massage, which does a really great job of just kind of comforting your back when you guys are on longer trips. And then you can see here, you can go to the ambient light function here. You can change the ambient lighting to a multicolor. Mercedes offers like 9 different colors, which my personal favorite is either the ultramarine, which you can actually see the color down there along the lower part of the dash vents, or the jungle green's also a great option as well if you guys prefer something a little bit more green with the interior color lighting. But overall, this system works really well. You can also go to an info page here where you can show all your different sources, or all your different, horsepower and torque figures, boost pressure, which I actually didn't realize they had. That seems like a new feature as well. But overall, this is still all very nice. If I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see my tester also has a 360 surround view camera system. Mercedes is one of the best quality cameras in the industry. You can see it shows a top-down view. You can also show a front view. You can show a side view. You can kind of scan around the vehicle, which is all really nice. You can kind of swipe around with your fingers here to show exactly what's around the vehicle. I kind of wish it was the same color of the car of this tester, but again, this is really impressive stuff. So there's a reason why you're spending this much money for a Mercedes-Benz. It's not just the badge. The tech in this vehicle is also excellent. Now you can see my tester has the quad zone climate control system. So you have basically as a climate zone for the driver, the passenger, the front passenger, and the 2 passengers in the rear. Nice high quality controls here for the dials, for the switches and the knobs. You have a wireless phone charging charging pad here. And then the Pinnacle trim includes heated and cooled cup holders, which is just a wonderful feature to have on longer road trips. It keeps your drinks either hot or cold. 2 USB-C charging ports. You can see there's a nice sturdy lid here to close it up to hide your smartphone and all your knickknacks in here. You can see there's your touchpad controller here. If you guys don't want to use the touch control volume knob here, shortcut buttons, and then your drive mode selector is here. You can see there's 5 different modes: individual, sport, comfort, eco, and off-road. That'll actually adjust the several different programmings and the air suspension, especially if you put it in off-road mode. You can also manually control the air suspension here from this toggle. There's a nice little area where you can rest your palm when you're using the touchpad. Nice padded area here with these massive grab handles, which are metal accented. They feel really sturdy as well. Nice padded center console, which you can see is also very deep. You have a USB-C charging port, and I believe a power outlet in there. You can see all my camera equipment fits in there nicely, so it's a huge storage area. Above me, you can see massive panoramic sunroof. This is $1,000 extra. It should be included as standard at this trim, but you can see it has a power retractable shade. It goes all the way into the second row. This also tilts open and opens completely in vents, which is definitely nice for those of you who want to actually let in some fresh air. You have map lighting in here, which is ambient, which is nice. The seats are comfortable and supportive, like I said earlier. The cooled function works well. The massage function works well. Opening up the glove box here, you can see it's huge. It's damped. It's lined with felt. It also has that air fragrance system where it wafts a perfume. It also has a built-in ionizer in this cabin, but overall the interior feels roomy, it feels luxurious, it's well made. There's not a squeak or rattle in this interior, and it has really good visibility. But overall, you know, this car is almost 6 figures. Does it feel 6 figures? Yes and no. The build quality is great. But there are a couple elements here, like the steering wheel airbag cover here, I wish was kind of stitched in leather, but overall, it's definitely a nice place to spend time. Hopping into the back seat, this is where the GLE's long wheelbase means you're gonna get a back seat, a second row that actually has a couple more inches of legroom compared to its competitors. Mercedes says at maximum length, you have a little over 40 inches of legroom here in the second row. Now you cannot get this model with captain's chairs. It's always gonna have a bench. And then my tester, like I said, has the optional third row, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, when you can see here, when I open the rear door, the rear door opens huge, so you can easily fit a car seat back here. As I get in, the step-in height is nice and low, and then as I get in here, I can just kind of click the door, and it has that soft close function as part of the $550 upcharge. And you can see here, door panel materials are lovely. You have leather stitching here with more of that genuine wood. You have heated rear seats, but no cooled seats. You can see there's a spot for it, but I don't think Mercedes offers that on the GLE here in America. Nice padded area over here, same high quality window controls, Burmester sound system here with the metal speakers. You have rear seat air vents here and more vents here. You can see you've got quad zone climate control, so you have an individual zone for this side and for the passenger side, which is nice. You have 2 more USB-C charging ports. You can see somebody my height, I can get back here and get really comfortable. I can easily cross my legs. I can also stretch about because there's also a good amount of headroom space, despite the fact that you have this massive panoramic roof. Although if you guys are over 6 feet, I'm only 5'7", you may find the headroom to be a little bit less, obviously. The vehicle is wide enough where you could sit 3 across over here, but you can see fold this down. You have an armrest with 2 cup holders. And then you can see here the power seats in the second row are included if you guys go for this trim, or you go for that third row package. It offers a power recline function. It even offers a power operating up and down head restraint, which is not something that I expected to see. But you're going to be utilizing that when you want to sit into the third row of this vehicle, because as you guys know, the third row is tight. So I'm going to actually move this seat up slightly. And you can see the maximum amount you can move it up is basically that much. Now, when you're sitting over here, the legroom space isn't great. You can basically slide it all the way back, but if you slide it all the way back, be warned, there is no space in the third row. This is how you're gonna get the maximum 41 inches of legroom back here. It's needed because you need to slide this seat forward to make room for passengers in the third row. So I'm gonna actually move this seat to back to where I had it before. This is kind of like the middle option for the positioning of the seats. Now, getting into the third row requires you to essentially get out. There's no way that you can slide through the middle, obviously. You push this little button here, or this little switch, you just pull it forward, and this seat actually electrically moves out of the way. Now, the seat itself doesn't move out of the way enough. There's kind of like a little small, tiny opening to get into the third row. You can see that's the maximum amount. And then you essentially have 2 jump seats back there, and then the head restraints, you've got to actually adjust them up. So getting back here, I'll go ahead and entertain you guys. I don't have the legroom figures of the third row, but you can see you gotta put this seat up, because if you don't, it essentially just digs into your back. But I'll move on to this side over here so I can show you guys the space. Now, the one thing that annoys me about this car is you have to actually to put this seat back, it's power. So you have to actually push and hold this top button here, which is kind of annoying. I have to push and hold it because if I let go of it, it stops coming back into place. I don't know why it's not a one-touch function, but you can see once it latches, the seat doesn't come all the way back, which is kind of annoying. You have to, again, get out there from that side and put the seat back. But once you're back here, you can see legroom space is tight. I basically have my knees up in my lap, essentially, and then headroom space for somebody my height, you can see my head is actually touching the roof. This headrest is at a good position for me, which is nice, but I'm pretty uncomfortable back here, which is why I said this is really for emergencies for kids. You can see there, in terms of features, you have this little tiny window here. My knees are slammed up against here. You can see this is with the seat still slightly up. It gives me more knee space. This is with it in its middle position. My knees are still slamming into this second row seat. There's basically 2 jump seats here. You have cup holders and USB charging ports. That's included when you go for the third row package. At least you also still have some lighting back here, but there's no rear seat air vents. So you're gonna be hot back here as well in the hot sun. But overall, again, in a pinch, it's nice that this is here. You don't have to get this feature, but there are very few options in the mid-size class that actually offers a third row like this. So it is a nice little selling feature if you guys must have this, but you don't wanna necessarily get something as big as an X7 or a GLS. So as one of the best-selling models from the Mercedes-Benz portfolio, the GLE is obviously a really important car, and it's been about 4 years since I drove a GLE 450. I remember I drove this vehicle when Mercedes-Benz first launched the car for the all-new second generation. Technically, this is, again, a reincarnated ML, but about 8 years ago, they switched over to the GLE name. Now, this inline 6 first made its debut in this vehicle nearly 5 years ago, but it did get a 13 horsepower boost for 2024. Mercedes-Benz claims you'll get to 60 in around 5.3 seconds. This is a 5,000-pound SUV with all-wheel drive and a 9-speed automatic. 0 to 60 times aren't the point, but let's go ahead and see what we can get in our real-world testing. Now, I actually tested this powertrain 2 years ago in a GLS, a heavier vehicle, and got roughly 5.6 seconds. So let's go ahead and see what we can get in the smaller, slightly lighter GLE. It's in sport mode. We'll brake torque it. Ooh, it feels quick off the line thanks to that EQ boost. Sounds good too. 5.48 seconds there. So that's about 0.2 seconds faster versus what I got in the bigger GLS, which is surprising. I think that's actually somewhat of a slower time, slower than Mercedes-Benz's claim. So we'll see what we can get. We'll try and do 2 more runs. We'll see what we can get further up ahead. But overall, the engine is going to be plenty powerful for most. And remember, this is the mid-level engine option because you can basically also get this car as a GLE 350 with a 2-liter turbo 4. That's gonna probably take over 7 seconds to get to 60. If you can spare the extra $9,000 for the inline 6, I highly recommend it, especially if you plan to do a lot of towing, you plan to carry a lot of people and their stuff, you're gonna want that extra power. But let's go ahead and see what we can get right here on this little stretch. This time we're not gonna brake torque it, we're just gonna floor it. Smooth shifts from the 9-speed, 6.1 there, and that essentially kind of just simulates what a normal person's gonna do. You're just gonna floor it from a stop if you need to kind of make a quick getaway. And that time is respectable. Keep in mind, that is also with a slightly more uphill gradient, and without launching it, this car does, again, not react quite as fast when you don't launch it, but most people aren't going to be brake torquing it anyways when you drive this thing normally. Now, driving it around some corners here, the GLE is still obviously a car-based SUV, which is unlike the first generation ML, which was a truck-based SUV. We have the Airmatic all-independent suspension. The air suspension's like an extra 2,000 bucks. It does give you the ability to adjust the dampers, adjust the ride height. I have it in sport mode right now. There is no Sport Plus mode in the 450. Now, if you guys go for a GLE 53, the AMG version of this engine, which has about 429 horsepower, you are gonna get a Sport Plus setting, and you'll probably also get launch control. You don't get that in the 450 because that's not the mission of this car. The mission is to be a more comfortable highway vehicle. And we'll talk about that later on, but even in sport in sport with the dampers in the firmer setting, the suspension lowered, this car rides like a dream. It just glides over the road with very little imperfections or very little bumps or harshness. The interior is also very quiet. My tester has the acoustic laminated glass, which is why I have to use the wire here, because when the windshield and the glass is laminated like this, it actually blocks out the reception of the internal antennas for my race box timer here. A lot of Mercedes models make me have to use that little silly antenna that I stick outside the vehicle. But going around this corner here, we'll put our foot down. It actually is spinning out the rear axle. But the inline six is smooth. It's not quite as silky smooth as BMW's B58 inline six, but this is a huge improvement over the old V6, the turbo V6 that you used to find in the old GLE and the M class. So it's kind of nice that Mercedes is, going back to an inline six, and the fact that it's electrified gives you that instant torque off the line, because you get 20 horsepower from the integrated starter motor generator on its own. But let's go ahead and see her here one more time. We'll just brake torque it, we'll floor it. It feels really good off the line. 5.7 there, so we'll take the 5.4 as the quickest time. So in terms of speed, that's not the purpose of this vehicle. And in terms of if you guys are going to drag race the BMW X5 at the stoplight next to you, this car is going to lose. The BMW is probably around a half a second faster than this vehicle with BMW's inline six-cylinder engine. So kind of keep that in mind. I believe the Genesis GV80 also is roughly around this same speed. So that's not the point of going with the 450 model. But just putting the car into its comfort setting, we'll kind of cruise along here. And this car gets even quieter in comfort. The suspension gets softer, the steering gets lighter, the car just floats over bumps because of that air suspension, and the 20-inch wheels also aren't great for looks and great for traction, but they definitely give you that increased ride comfort that you're looking for because of that thick sidewall that you get with these 20-inch wheels. It just feels really nice going down the road. These seats are comfortable. I'm sitting here getting a massage and they work really well. The seats are air conditioned and they work pretty well. And I'm also getting a perfume that's being wafted into the interior when I have the climate control on. So it's just a really nice experience. I mean, if you guys love an E-Class sedan, you're gonna get into this car and feel like you're driving an E-Class SUV, albeit with the older infotainment system, which this car now has MBUX with the wireless CarPlay and the over-the-air updates. I actually like the way this looks compared to the overwhelming design that you get in the EQE, for example, or the newer S-Class, for example. The steering wheel comes directly from the S-Class, which it feels really good in your hands. The steering itself is light, it's electrically assisted, it doesn't really offer much feedback. The suspension feels soft, but that's kind of the point of this car. I'm not looking for it to be a sporty vehicle, I'm looking for it to be a comfortable, luxurious one, and that's what I'm getting with the GLE 450. It's just a really nice place to spend time. It's great for road trips. In terms of the fuel economy, I was averaging around 21 mpg in my mixed driving. On the highway, it got around 25 mpg. So really good gas mileage actually because of that electrification, because we have a massive 22-gallon gas tank. You should be looking at around 450 to 500 miles of range on a full tank, which is excellent. Now, obviously, if you guys want even more efficiency, there's the 450e, the plug-in hybrid, which has a little bit more horsepower than this vehicle and more torque, but it also carries around 900 pounds of additional weight, but you could theoretically go around 40 miles of range on a full charge. At least that's what Mercedes tells us. I'm hoping to get my hands on a 450e plug-in hybrid sometime later this year. It does go on sale toward Q3 of 2023, while this one here is just now hitting dealerships now. But overall, the 450, in terms of a mid-size luxury SUV, I mean, there's so many choices out here. I have not had a chance to drive the refreshed BMW X5. I'm hoping to get my hands on those very, very soon. But I have to say, Mercedes has done a really good job of keeping this model fresh. I think the inline six is kind of the sweet spot, but I think the enthusiast in me, especially for the price tag that Mercedes is asking for this loaded 450, I probably would be looking very heavily at the GLE 53, which has, again, that inline six that has more power and a lot more torque, which Mercedes, again, upped the power this year. But overall, you simply can't go wrong with this vehicle. And the cool thing about it is if you need a mid-size SUV with a third row and a pinch, the GLE is, again, one of the few options out there that still gives that to you as an available feature. Now, with over 65,000 GLE class SUVs sold here in America back in 2021, this is obviously a very important vehicle for Mercedes-Benz. That was the company's best year ever in terms of GLE class and ML class sales. So it's no surprise to me that the company would be cautious when it comes to revising this vehicle, because as you guys see, the exterior changes are pretty subtle. You probably have to have the old model, the pre-refresh model, parked next to this car to actually see all the changes. But overall, in terms of the styling, I think this is still an attractively handsome SUV. Although me personally, I think I prefer the look of the Genesis GV80 or the BMW X5, the refreshed one. Haven't had a chance to actually drive or see one of those in person just yet. But after spending some time driving the GLE family, I've had a chance to drive the 63S AMG and of course the sweet spot, which is the 450 4Matic. I have to say this is still a very attractive SUV, especially if you guys are big fans of the Mercedes-Benz brand. The interior is exquisite. It's plush, it's full of the latest tech features. It's also very comfortable in the first and in the second row. The third row in this model, very small. Most people are going to end up buying the third row, leaving it fold down and just having it available there in a pinch when you need to actually carry that extra 2 passengers in emergencies. The engine in this model is smooth, it's fuel efficient, it offers good acceleration. 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds is respectable, although again, don't pick any drag race fights with a BMW X5 because you're going to lose at a stoplight, even on the base 6-cylinder X5. And then in terms of the rest of this vehicle, the pricing is kind of where the GLE gets a little bit too expensive. But hey, it's a Mercedes, and if you guys have the money for a vehicle like this, you're going to expect to pay a pretty penny for this car. Now, base pricing for the 2024 model, which is now just hitting dealerships for the base 350, starts at just over $62,000. There was a time where you can get a GLE class. I remember 4 years ago when this car first came out, it was around $56,000. So everything keeps getting way too expensive. Now, if you guys want the 6-cylinder, you have to at least tack on about $9,000 or $8,000 more. This car is going to start at around $69,500 for the base 450 GLE. Now, if you guys want the plug-in hybrid, I heard that the price should be similar, although we don't have final pricing just yet of the plug-in hybrid. The AMG models are going to be the ones that are going to be well over $100,000. My tester here has a boatload of options. I'm talking the Pinnacle trim, the Airmatic suspension, the upgraded leather inside, the Burmester stereo, the massaging seats, the panoramic sunroof, the tow package, all in with every option that my tester has, which again is very expensive. The only thing it's really missing are the massive 22-inch wheels, which would hurt the ride quality. This model here, stickers for just over $94,000. 94 grand. There was a time where you could buy an AMG version of this car for almost 6 figures, and now you are obviously getting an inline 6 with all the luxury and tech features. This is a very expensive proposition. Keep in mind, if you guys look at something like the Genesis GV80, you could get that car for about $20,000 less than this vehicle. So there is something to be said about the Mercedes badge, but I will say that I personally, as an enthusiast, I probably would go for the 53 model, which is probably going to be the sweet spot for a little bit more, considering this is almost $100,000. But I also haven't had a chance to review the recently revised BMW X5, which is also a great choice in this segment as well. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.